My name is Caroline Whitman, and for the longest time, I believed I was living a fairy tale. I was 38, a published author, living in a brownstone apartment in Manhattan with my husband, Mark, a financial consultant whose voice could melt away my stress in seconds. He had a way of saying my name, soft and slow, like a promise. Every morning started with a kiss on the forehead and coffee just the way I liked it. Every evening ended with him whispering, "You're my world." I believed him until one night, everything changed. It was close to midnight. I woke up to an empty bed. At first, I assumed Mark had gone downstairs, maybe for a snack or to check on something. Then I heard it. A voice. His voice. It was coming from his home office, low, serious, calculated. "She still doesn't suspect anything," he said. I froze. The air turned heavy, my heartbeat drumming in my chest. "Everything's going as planned, almost done." I tiptoed to the hallway, pressing myself against the wall near his office door. A thin line of light escaped through the crack. I could barely hear the rest, but I didn't need to. I'd already heard enough. I crept back to bed, lying still, pretending to sleep, when Mark returned minutes later. He slipped under the blanket, pulling it over us like he hadn't just shattered my world. That night, I didn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling, my mind racing. I didn't know what he was planning, but I knew one thing for sure. My husband was hiding something, and it involved me. The next morning, I moved through the kitchen like a ghost. Mark was still asleep. My hands trembled as I reached for my phone. Until that moment, I had never once checked our finances. He handled everything: bills, savings, investments. But trust, I was learning, is often the first step toward losing everything. I opened the banking app. My breath caught. Transaction after transaction, $500 here, $1,000 there, $750, $2,000. A string of withdrawals over 3 months. Individually, nothing alarming, but together, they painted an ugly picture. Then came his voice behind me. "Checking the account this early?" Mark's tone was casual, but his eyes flickered, surprised. "Just curious," I said lightly. "Some of these charges look unfamiliar." He poured himself a coffee, offering a well-practiced smile. "Oh, those? Just a few small investments. Must have forgotten to mention them." He took a sip, never meeting my eyes. Something inside me shifted. Not anger, something colder, sharper. That night, I noticed more. The way he turned his phone face down, the quiet calls behind closed doors, the vague answers. "Just business," he'd say. "Nothing for you to worry about." But I was worried, and that worry turned into resolve. 2 days later, I got my chance. He went to shower after dinner, and for the first time, he left his phone on the table, unlocked. I hesitated. Then I reached for it. My fingers trembled as I scrolled. Most messages were harmless, until one thread caught my eye. No contact name, just a number. "Send her the Ilium files. Just make sure she stays in the dark. Almost done." I read it again, and again. Ilium files? Make sure she stays in the dark? Was she me? My stomach turned. I set the phone back exactly where it was, then splashed cold water on my face and stared at my reflection. at a woman who suddenly realized her husband wasn't just lying, he was planning something, and I was the target. The next morning, I called Anna Prescott, my college friend, now an estate attorney. I told her everything: the late-night whispers, the transactions, the Ilium files. "How much money are we talking?" she asked. "Close to 500 million, I said. She went silent, then, "Caroline, we need to move your assets now." The next 72 hours were a blur: documents, signatures, legal filings. Anna moved mountains: the apartment, the royalties, the investments, all locked under a private trust. My name, my control. By the time Mark came home, I'd already built a fortress around my life. "Thought we'd have time tonight," he said, smiling. I nodded, calm. He had no idea. Let him make the next move, because this time, I was ready. 4 days later, he did. He came home early, dressed sharp, confident. "We need to talk." He slid a folder across the table. "Divorce papers. It's for the best," he said softly. "We've grown apart." I looked at him, the man I'd once trusted with my heart, and smiled faintly. "Before we go further," I said, "there's something you should know." His brows furrowed. "What?" "I've already moved everything," I said. "The apartment, the accounts, the royalties, all in a protected trust. You can't touch them." His color drained from his face. He stammered, You can't do that." "I already did." He pushed back from the table. "We'll see each other in court." "Then go ahead," I said quietly. "Try." But the battle was far from over. 3 days later, rumors started spreading at work. Anonymous posts, accusations, claims that I had embezzled company money. My name, my career, my reputation, all under attack. I called Anna. She listened, then said, "He's trying to force a settlement. Don't give him what he wants." "I won't." We filed a cease and desist, prepared for war. Then, a week later, he went even lower. Anna called. Her tone was grim. "He just filed a lawsuit. He's accusing you of fraud." I froze. "What?" "He's claiming you moved marital assets illegally, and he filed it with a co-plaintiff." I opened the folder. The name hit me like a punch. Ilium Rowe. The name from the text. "Who is he?" "A known fraudster," Anna said. "No convictions yet, but a long trail of forged documents." The file was full of fake transactions, even forged versions of my signature. "These aren't mine," I whispered. "They're fabrications." "Then we'll prove it," she said. For a week, we worked nonstop, tracing real records, following digital footprints, building an unbreakable case. And when we walked into court, I was ready. The judge reviewed everything: the forgeries, the dates, the mismatched signatures, all tied back to Ilium Rowe's firm. Mark's story collapsed under its own lies. The ruling was clear. Case dismissed. Mark denied access to my trust, and ordered to pay all my legal fees. When it was over, he approached me in the hallway. "You didn't have to do this," he said. I met his eyes, steady. "No, Mark, you didn't have to." And I walked away, for good. Weeks passed. I returned to writing, to walking through Central Park, to breathing freely again. Victory didn't feel like joy. It felt like peace, like silence after the storm. Because I'd learned something every woman should know. Trust is a gift, but control over your life is a right. Never hand your power away blindly. Protect your future, and when someone tries to break you, stand. Let the truth speak louder than revenge. If this story moved you, subscribe and share it. Because strength isn't just surviving the storm, it's learning how to own the sky afterward.